We seek marriage for many reasons, but one of the most important is that we are all incomplete and unhealed, and we're looking for a spouse to fix that. Why do we choose the spouse that we choose? It's because we're incomplete and unhealed, and we're looking for a spouse to change that. Karen and I dated, I think, like most people date. We fell in love. I met Karen when we were sophomores at Tascosa High School. And we were in sophomore biology class together, and I thought that she was very beautiful. And I asked her out in May of that year. I asked her out to a Three Dog Night concert. How many of you remember Three Dog Night? Raise your hands, encourage me. Yeah, it's not the younger people that raise their hand. It's the mature people like me. But we went to a Three Dog Night concert, and we loved each other, and so we dated for a while. But as soon as I secured the relationship with Karen, I began to take her for granted. And I think that's very common. And we began to fight. I call it the performance phase of the relationship. We were performing for each other and putting our best foot forward. But as soon as we had secured each other, that's when we began to act normal, which for me was not good. And we began to fight like cats and dogs, which led us to, the brink of divorce. Let me talk about why we marry the person that we marry and how it can be a healing journey and not be a journey of pain like ours was for so long. And I want to say this related to the sovereignty of God, because God is more sovereign than we think he is in who we marry. It's understanding the sovereign purpose of God in marriage, or why God tricks us into falling in love with someone who can drive us so crazy, and why they drive us so crazy, and how we can stop being driven so crazy and be healed. When we're dating, we are doing it mostly on a very subconscious level, and we don't realize it. We're dating a person and we're looking at how attractive they are, or if we like being with them, or if we share the same basic things in common. And it is important to be compatible, and I'll talk more about that in just a minute. But research has proven that most of the dating that we do in choosing a spouse is it's done on the subconscious. And a good analogy is an iceberg. You see an iceberg, and the tip is sticking out of the water, but the mass is below the water. When we're dating, we're looking at a person typically on a very superficial level. But God is doing something so much more under the surface that we don't even know about, and it's the not knowing that creates the danger. It's not understanding what God is doing when we're choosing a spouse that really creates the danger in when we marry, and a lot of the pain that is caused in marriage. So I want to talk about two sovereign and subconscious choices that we make when we're choosing a spouse. When Karen and I were dating, I was dating her. I didn't know there was anything deeper than just going out and having fun. But God wires us to choose a spouse according to his will. God wires us to choose a spouse in a certain way. And there's something way deeper going on when we're dating. And then the person we marry, there's something much more sovereign than we think there is in who we marry. And so there's two choices that we make when we're dating and get married that we need to understand. The first is, when we're dating and marry, we're trying to find a person to be our compatible opposite. Okay. Now, a lot of people would say, no, when I marry, I'm looking for someone that's like me. No, you're not. On a conscious level, you may think that you're looking for a person that's like you. God wired you to find your opposite. This is what Genesis 2:18 says. The Lord said, "It is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helper comparable to him." The word helper is the word aider. It means to supply what is lacking. God didn't create another Adam because Adam didn't need another him. He needed someone to supply what was lacking. Marriage is not this. Marriage is this. You don't need another you. The last thing in the world you need is another you. You need someone who supplies what's lacking.